This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 127 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by Equestrian Collections, for the whole universe of equestrian shopping at your fingertips at a price you can afford. Enjoy today's tip. This is Glenn the Geek back with you from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. Today we have back with us one of the most enjoyable and passionate horse dentists. You know him. He's been on the show many times before. That's Dr. Tucker. Dr. Jeff Tucker is one of the most popular equine dentists on Twitter and in real life too. He has a website called theequinepractice.com, and he travels the country practicing his craft. He uses the tagline, Equine Dentistry Without Drama, and is an advocate of no power tools. And I do apologize in advance. We do tend to like to talk to each other, so the conversations can get long sometimes. So I apologize for these tips not being as short as some of the others, but we do have a good time when we chat, and we hope you enjoy that as well. I just want to say a few words about our friends at Equestrian Collections, and then we'll get to Dr. Tucker. Equestrian Collections has a new coupon code for the listeners to the Horse Radio Network. You can get $10 off your next order of $120 or more at equestriancollections.com. When you're checking out, just use the coupon code Horse Radio, all one word, Horse Radio, and that $10 discount will appear on your checkout. Also, don't forget they have a new line of Wrangler. They're carrying a bunch of different Wrangler products over there, some jeans and tack and things like that from Wrangler, all the great Wrangler products that you've come to know and love. You can now buy at equestriancollections.com. And one other thing, don't forget to check out their closeout section. Their sale and closeout section is packed with stuff right now. It's that beginning of the year thing where everybody's trying to clean out the warehouse a little bit. You want to check out Equestrian Collections and see the discounts. You can get up to 70% on the closeout merchandise there at equestriancollections.com. We thank them for continuing to be one of our best sponsors. Well, hi, Dr. Tucker, and welcome back to Horse Tip Daily.
Hey, Glenn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Well, you know, it's always fun to have you on, and I'm looking forward to you always come up with very thoughtful things that I've never thought about before, because I don't stick my hand in horses' mouths all day long. And we should mention that you are a veterinarian as well, for those that have missed the previous tips. Been doing this a long time.
Yeah, since 1984, I've been a vet. I've been floating teeth since 1983, 42,000 floats under my belt. Yep.
Wow. Do you have little notches on the truck?
Oh, no. No notches, no nicks, no dents. Stay away from my truck. I love my truck.
All right. What do you have for us today?
Well, I want to move a little bit further away from the mouth and get down into the digestive tract of the horse.
Okay.
A lot of people talk about digestion of food and what they should be feeding and what's important to feed. And I think everyone keeps missing one really important fact, that a horse is a continuous eater. Now, what I'm going to talk about today, I like to tease people with, because this is something you take to your next cocktail party when they're really boring and they're talking about nothing. You can whip out the old gallbladder thing and say, hey, I've got a story for you. So what is a gallbladder? It is a sac that's stuck in between the lobes of your liver, and it stores bile. Now, bile is produced by your liver and is used in the digestion of your food. And whenever you take a meal, the bladder contracts and squirts some of this bile into your intestines and helps digest the food. It's just part of the process. Now, I don't know of every animal that's out there, but let's just take some of the basic animals: dogs, cats, cows, sheep, goats, any of the pigs, any of the farm animals you think of, any of the basic animals, they all have gallbladders because they're all meal takers. Ruminants are meal takers because they're out grazing and they store the grass in their rumen, and they eructate and they chew their cud, and that's when they take their meal, and that's when the gallbladder squirts it out. But a horse is born without a gallbladder. There is none there. Now, some humans have theirs taken out, and they know that they have to eat constantly. But a horse is supposed to eat constantly right from the get-go. And I can't tell you how many people talk about feeding lunch, feeding dinner. They give a flake of hay at 4 in the afternoon, or maybe 2 or 3 flakes at 4 in the afternoon, and then they don't give them anything until 7 in the morning. Well, that's just against all the rules that have been set up in the makeup of the horse.
But isn't that 90% of the people?
Well, there's a lot of horse owners that have gotten educated through advertising, and they don't get the basics. And that's what I love, just talking about the basics. Now, if you don't believe me, don't feed your horse for 24 hours. And then look at his gums. Just lift his lips up or look at the white of his eye, and it will be yellow. And that's because the bile is being constantly secreted, going into the bloodstream, and they're turning jaundice. And in fact, it's one of the things we look at as veterinarians. We lift the gums up. If they look jaundice, we know the horse hasn't been eating for 24 hours. So that's
the bile comes out of the gallbladder regardless of whether they eat or not. The eating process doesn't trigger it. It just happens anyway.
In the horse, it comes out of the liver. It's constantly being secreted.
Okay,
yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
The bladder is just a storage, just like a urinary bladder stores urine until you're ready to express it. Same with the bile. So the bottom line is you should be feeding your horse all the time, and that's important. So I mean, they sleep. When they don't want to eat, they'll stop eating, but you should have hay in front of them at all times.
Okay, yeah, and you're right. I mean, what I meant by the 90% is that's certainly not the way 90% of people do it, and right. I think it's just because it's convenient for us more than anything.
Absolutely convenient. But here's the other thing. Here's the flip side to it. So many horses out there are so fat now. And if you fed them hay all the time, they just get fatter. You have to understand that horses are supposed to be moving at all times. They're supposed to be eating here, defecating there, eating there, defecating there, and be in the next town next week. They're constantly moving. They're migrating. They're not put in between. Behind a fence. So these guys are constantly working, constantly running from the predators, constantly expressing their energy. But what we do is we keep them stored in a cell, basically like a recreational vehicle, and we bring them out on Sundays. And here I am telling you to feed the horse constantly. And that's where you have a problem, because they'll get obese and so you cut back on their grain and their hay, and then it's just a disaster that occurs. So you take it for what it's worth. They're continuous eaters. Try and figure out how you can make it work by increasing their exercise or limiting their hay. I use a busy horse net. It's made down in Palm City. They have small openings, and the horse has to pick all day at the hay, and it slows down their consumption. Or put a grazing muzzle on the horse. So they're constantly working, but they should be constantly eating, so they should never be starved.
Well, great.
There you go.
Well, Dr. Tucker, where can people learn more about you?
At the Funny Farm.
That would be thefunnyfarm.com.
That's it. or try theequinepractice.com. That's theequinepractice, 3 words, no spaces.com.
Okay, that's theequinepractice.com. And I'm just checking to see here. It made me really curious. Thefunnyfarm.com.
Oh, no.
is a very strange website, which you probably
don't go.
Don't go to thefunnyfarm.com. All right, thanks, Dr. Tucker.
My pleasure. See you, Glenn.
Well, I think that's the shortest tip that Dr. Tucker and I have ever done together. Well, we appreciate him being on. And again, you can check out his website. Just go to horsetipdaily.com and you'll see the link to the experts, and all the links to Dr. Tucker's websites and various things are there, and you can listen to all his past tips there as well. Well, everybody, I'm going to keep it short today. You can find us on iTunes and Zune. You can go to the website to check out all the past episodes. All that stuff. So I'll just say I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, stay safe, everyone.